Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs is a movie that I can appreciate intellectually. A film that I can appreciate as a film lover, a baby cinephile that I call myself, and the aspects and the impact of this film throughout the film industry. But on an emotional level, which I think is a really important part for film, I didn't really connect to it, and I don't think it's a movie that I can rewatch a bunch of times, and I'm going to explain why today. Thank you for joining me for my Throwback Thursday review of Reservoir Dogs, where my subscribers and the people in the community post voted on the Quentin Tarantino film for me to win, and this was tied with another movie I'm going to be reviewing soon. So let's start with the premise of Reservoir Dogs. 6 criminals with pseudonyms, and each stranger to the other, are hired for a robbery. The heist is ambushed by police, forcing the gang to shoot their way out. At their warehouse rendezvous, the survivors, realizing they were set up, tried to find the traitor. I love the handheld feel and the amateur way the film feels like it was filmed. It makes me feel like a fly on the wall as a viewer of these conversations and plans that these bad men are making. What is the most impressive is that this is a choice, not a necessity. This is not Tarantino because he didn't have enough money making this choice to do a handheld feel where and making it feel amateur. He did it purposely for the movie to feel more intimate and a little bit more chaotic and visceral and gritty. And I think he did a really awesome job for a directorial debut to make that choice. And you can see that it was a choice because there's certain scenes where he has the camera steady, more professional, you could say, and more dynamic, especially when it's following some of the action. So I really like that he went back and forth with that camera style, and you could see he was really having fun getting in there. That one particular scene where Mr. Blonde is torturing the cop and he's walking out, and it feels like the cameraman is right behind him and following him outside. And this movie has an air of mystery throughout. You're not sure what's going to come around the corner at all times or what's going to happen. And that particular scene was really well played out because when he walks out, you don't know what's going to be out there. You don't know what he's going to get. And then when he walks in, you don't know what he's going to be walking back into. So I thought that was done really, really well. It made me feel immersed in certain moments in the film. At this point in my life, Tarantino is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, even though I haven't seen all his movies, and I'm kind of going through that journey right now. And it was really impressive to see where he started and what his first idea and how impactful it is over the film industry. How I can see the DNA of this film throughout so many bank heist films, movies with ensembles, anything that has a bunch of ensembles and particular characters that have to be colorful. You can see that it derived from here. I'm sure that people have done it before him, but you can see that in the modern cinema, and this movie came out in the 90s, that people go back to this film when they're trying to make a film like it. Speaking of colorful characters, this cast really brought it. They're all vital. They all bring something different and feel very different from each other. And my favorite characters are Mr. White and Mr. Orange. That bromance, that relationship was like some of the few parts of the film that I emotionally connected to, and I really liked it. And I was really following it to see how everything happened with them, especially with Mr. Orange getting shot and seeing if he was going to survive. The way they portrayed him in the beginning of the film made him feel like he was in over his head and more innocent than the rest of the crew. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want him to die. Which was really, really interesting. And the way Mr. White looked after him, I should say, and tried to make sure he was okay the whole time. It was really heartbreaking to see the ending of that bromance that was born out of deceit when Mr. Orange decides to reveal that he's a cop, and Mr. White was just over. At this point, he was going to be killed anyway. These guys were deemed as cop killers and abusers and the worst of the worst. So they were not going to take these guys alive. So he kills him and he doesn't make it out. And I thought that really impacted me a bit with this movie. And honestly, the other characters had their moments throughout the film, but I didn't really connect with them or thought they were really that funny or entertaining and engaging as I thought they would. But the movie really picked up once it was revealed that Mr. Orange was a cop. That's when I, was kind of like this, watching the movie, kind of slack back, watching the film, and I kind of sat up and was like, whoa, and had my arm on the table and really invested in what was going on, because this twist, while obviously we knew there was going to be a mole, they were talked about it a lot, I didn't expect it to be the one that got shot and hurt and was dying on the floor. And the way it was revealed, after that handheld moment I talked about earlier, and Mr. Blonde coming back in after brutally torturing this cop, that scene was hard to watch, getting lit up lit up like a Christmas tree by Mr. Orange was so satisfying because he was such a piece of crap this whole movie, which was weird because when he first showed up, I was like, oh, maybe he'll be the good character that I can, the noble character that I can get invested in. And then when he showed up, I was like, oh no, he's insane. He's absolutely crazy. There's no way. But when he got lit up and killed by Mr. Orange, that's when things started turning. I was like, whoa, what's going to happen? And then the final act did not disappoint. Everybody going to this standoff, everyone trying to figure out what's going on, and them all just shooting each other, and then the cops coming in, and the way everything played out, I thought was really, really interesting. With Mr. Pink running off, and you're not 100% sure if he made it out, because he did make it out of the bank that one time with the cops chasing him. So in your head, because you didn't see it, you have to wonder. And I think that Tarantino and the script did a good job of plotting mystery throughout the film, especially since they didn't show the actual bank heist that held this film together. In the film's first two acts, it really was hard for me to stay fully engaged. It started off with these 6 criminals who have no redeeming qualities and having conversations that I didn't think was as funny or had as much great banter as I think the script thought it was. For some reason, there was just something that was turning me off from the characters at first when they were together in the beginning. And then as they started separating and showing each character and doing each chapter, I started getting engaged in moments, but the pacing of the film really, really hurt what could have been really, really engaging throughout and fun. The fact that we didn't see the actual bank heist, especially we got a little bit of it, and I thought, okay, he's gonna, as we get more and more of the characters throughout, we're gonna get bits and more pieces of the bank heist to see what was going on. But that's not what actually happened, so it really hurt the pacing for me in terms of enjoyment, because there's a long piece of the film where it's Mr. Pink and Mr. White just talking and talking and talking and talking. He's going on and kind of feels like it's going in circles with no natural progression. And then Mr. Blonde comes in, and then they stall on that a little bit, and it kind of feels like it's going in a circle, and I'm not really super engaged or connected to the characters. So it's like, oh, I'm just chilling here with these cool characters. I was just like, okay, what's the plot? Where are we going? Is this movie just standing in this empty warehouse with this guy bleeding on the floor and just talking? Which, it could be really interesting, but it just wasn't paced in a way where it kept me fully engaged. And this next problem is going to be very specific for me. As a black person, there was a lot of talk about black people in this film, specifically like every time that they weren't talking about the heist itself and trying to figure out what happened or planning it. The banter between the characters were about black people, either calling them savages, criticizing attitudes, or telling it was just really weird to me that every non-bank or heist conversation was about negative stuff about black people. And I know that is a common thing in a lot of his movies where Quentin Tarantino does commentary on all races and things like that. And this is an older movie, so the standards are different. But there's something that rubbed me the wrong way, the way it was presented and what was talked about, and the fact that it was only in those moments. It felt like the only other thing that they could talk about. It was just really, really weird, and it just turned me off a bit and took me out of the film where I was supposed to be immersed and trying to be engrossed in all the scenes. So I definitely see the appeal of this film. I see why it's so beloved. I see why it's been talked for so long, and I really wanted to watch this movie so long. It's loud. It's vulgar. It has a very appealing hook, and it has a fantastic, impressive directorial debut from one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, especially of my me growing up in my modern era. But for some reason, I just didn't connect with the characters that much, minus those 2 that I really, really liked. I didn't really connect with the story or the pacing of the film. So I didn't hate the film, but it was just okay to me. So with that said, I'm going to give Reservoir Dogs a C. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate Reservoir Dogs? Let me know in the comments below if this is your favorite Tarantino film, if this is your least favorite Tarantino film, if it's middle of the road, what's your pros, what's your cons, what do you feel about it, and how do you feel about my opinion? I know I probably have an unpopular unpopular opinion, but I'm interested to hear people and why they love this film and why I'm wrong. But anyway, thank you for joining me for Throwback Thursdays. I do usually do this every single week. I have another Throwback Thursday film review coming out, and that's going to be Inglourious Bastards if you're watching this one first, because it won the poll. Well, they tied in winning the poll, so I decided just to review both of them. So definitely hit the like button to get this video popping. Subscribe to the channel so you can definitely check out that review for Inglourious Bastards, and so you can hit that notification bell and get notified of my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much more. You can watch more content right now.